I'd like to welcome everybody to our council meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like Pastor Fair, who's in the audience tonight, lead us in our prayer. And right from the prayer, we'll go right into the Pledge of Allegiance.
For fire and praise there. This week we lost a great friend to our city, to our city council, and Mr. Lewis. RG is a while ago. We want to give our deepest sympathies to them. Great folks, likable person, and he'll be missed. Also, let's remember the citizens of Baton Rouge as they go through the things they're going through. I again contacted the mayor's office there today. Told them that we were thinking and praying about them. It seems like it's becoming every week that I'm calling a different mayor in a different city to offer our prayers and condolences and support. So please keep these in mind.
Let's pray. God, we do thank you so much for today and just the blessings of life that you have given us. God, we come tonight with many heavy hearts. God, we do just pray for these families that were mentioned, but God, especially this for the state of Louisiana as a whole, God, for especially Baton Rouge and just everything that's been going on. God, we just ask for your protection, your healing hand, God, to bring hope and reassurance in these situations, to bring strength that comes from you. And God, I'm so thankful and blessed to be a part of this community. And I just ask that you continue to lift up Northport. God, lift up this city council, God, to see your wisdom and to see your vision for the future. And we ask all these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Mr. Swan, call roll, please.
President Logan.
Here.
Councilwoman Hayes.
Here.
Councilman Sullivan.
Here.
Councilman Sims.
Here.
Councilman Harper. Here. We have a quorum, Mr. President.
Mayor.
Thank you. Guys, come on up. Radio Club. These are a bunch of hams here, and I mean that with all love and respect. Come right around here so you can face these. These are some friends of mine. Every year they have a ham radio field day. It was last month at the Civitan Park, and it just, I don't know if you've ever been around ham radios or shortwave radios, but they talk all around the world. They help out in times of crisis and emergencies, and a great group of folks, and we're going to recognize them. Whereas amateur radio operators are celebrating over a century of the miracle of the human voice broadcast over the airwaves. And whereas amateur radio has continued to provide a bridge between peoples, societies, and countries by creating friendships and the sharing of ideas, and whereas amateur radio operators have also provided countless hours of community services throughout these decades, and whereas these amateur radio services are provided wholly uncompensated, and whereas the state also recognizes the service of amateur radio's people also provide to our many emergency response organizations, including Tuscaloosa County EMA, and whereas these same individuals have further demonstrated their value in public assistance by providing free radio communications for local parades, bike-a-thons, walk-a-thons, fairs, and other charitable public events. Now, therefore, I, Bobby Herndon, by the authority vested in me as mayor of the great city of Northport, Alabama, do hereby proclaim July 18, 2016 to be Amateur Radio Day in the city of Northport and express our appreciation for their continued contributions to our community. Let's give them a hand. Hey. Sure you do. Hey, gosh. Jack, you put him up for this?
I did, Jeff.
Oh, gosh. Mayor, first of all, I want to say thank you for this award. The committee as well, I thank you, appreciate you that. The people of Northport, I want you to know that we as amateur radio operators will continue to support, and in the event of needed time for the people of Northport, you can rely on us. When times go down and your cell phones don't work, your radio will, if you're an amateur radio operator. We do stay in touch with the local fire and police departments to let them know that they are always ready to go in the event that something like April 27th happens, when there were no other communications other than a radio. And these gentlemen behind me here, they, some of them stayed for 4 or 5 days on the radio constantly, making sure that everybody was safe and well aware of what was going on. So with that being said, don't think we just sit there and talk on the radio to people all over the world. We actually do a lot of work with the EMA offices and the other various offices around the state of Alabama. Thank you.
Last Monday night after council meeting, we had prayer out by the flagpole, and I want to tell everybody how much I appreciate the ones that showed up. We had one church to bring 200 people to the prayer around the flagpole, and that was awesome. But we appreciate that. You know, we need a lot of prayer, and we had a lot of people here. People always ask, you know, how can we help these other cities that are suffering in these violent times and things? And you know, prayer is a big part of it. But also, on August the 19th, and I'm going to reserve the Civic Center here, I want to have a City of Northport or a community blood drive. Blood is a great gift of life for many people, and I would like to show the world how Northport can support our friends across the country, around the world, but right here in our home state too, in our neighborhoods, as far as donating blood. So on August the 19th, I'll be getting the times out. We're working with the Red Cross, and they do an awesome job, and we just want to see if we can do an awesome job also. But if you will, keep that in mind.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 5 is approval of the agenda. In our pre-meeting, we had several items to be added based on recommendations from staff. These are 7A3, which is an ordinance regarding our general obligation warrants. 8B1 is a resolution approving a $5 million line of credit. 8B2 is a resolution regarding the ADA transition plan and PO requisition for a general rental for Thompson Tractor in our utilities department. And then 12A1 is a ABC license request for an off-premise wine request for Piggly Wiggly. So again, with those items being mentioned, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with these additions. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Hayes. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Swan.
President Logan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilman Sullivan,
Yes.
Councilman Sims,
Yes.
Councilman Harper.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. President.
Item 8A1 under new business is a first reading of an ordinance annexing 0.38 acres located at 420 Hunter Creek Lane. Mr. Stevens, again, this is a first reading for a single lot. The intent is for water and sewer access based on city code. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Thank you. Have someone to offer that for first reading.
I'll offer that for first reading.
Thank you. That's Councilman Sullivan. Item 2 is a first reading of an ordinance rezoning 0.38 acres located at 420 Hunter Creek Lane from AG to RS12. Again, Mr. Stevens, this is basically the intent is for a single lot to be annexed in and rezoned for water and sewer access.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Thank you. Have someone offer that for a first reading.
I'll offer that as well, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilman Sullivan. Item 8A3 is a first reading of an ordinance to provide the issuance of a $8,530,000 aggregate principal amount of general obligation warrants, Series 2016 of the City of Northport. Mr. Davis.
Yes, Mr. President. As you know, this council has worked to refinance the Series 2009 warrants. The city was able to maintain its higher bond rating, the AA- rating, and at the time we went into this, we were hoping to have a gross savings of slightly under $500,000. As you recall, last Monday night, the council authorized the mayor to sign the purchase agreement. The Raymond James went into the market on Thursday, and went ahead and were very successful. They were able to get a 2.1% rate, so our savings over the life of the bonds will be about $663,000. So it's a very good result. Raymond James and Bond Council did a very good job. We would ask that you suspend the rules. This will take a unanimous vote and then go ahead and vote to approve this ordinance.
Thank you, Ron. It was suggested in our pre-meeting to go ahead and ratify this, but to do so, you have to suspend the rules, and I'll make a motion to suspend the rules in order to immediately consider the ordinance to provide the issuance of the $8,530,000 aggregate principal amount of general obligation warrants, Series 2016 of the City of Northport. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Sims. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Swan.
President Logan,
Yes.
Councilman Sims,
Yes.
Councilman Harper,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hayes,
yes,
Councilman Sullivan.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Under suspended rules, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the ordinance to provide the issuance of the $8,530,000 aggregate principal amount of general obligation warrants, Series 2016 of the City of Northport. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Sims. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Swan.
President Logan,
Yes.
Councilman Sims,
Yes.
Councilman Harper,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hayes,
yes,
Councilman Sullivan.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. President.
Thank you. Item 8B1 is a resolution approving a $5 million line of credit with Cadence Bank. Mr. Davis.
Yes, Mr. President, this is a line of credit for $5 million with Cadence Bank. It can be drawn on by Mr. Swan or in his absence by Ms. Hoffman for the levee repair project and Mid-Larry Road project, as well as other normal budgeted city expenses. In the event the council wishes to enter into retail development incentives or any other non-budgeted expense, that would have to come before the council for a vote. But this would authorize the city administrator to enter into this $5 million line of credit with Cadence Bank and allow these specific withdrawals. And in the event there are withdrawals on this line of credit, the city administrator would immediately notify the mayor and city council by email of any withdrawal of these funds for these three specific items. Anything else would come back before you for a vote.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve that resolution approving the $5 million line of credit with Cadence Bank?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. That's a motion by Councilman Sims. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Harper. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Swan.
Councilman Sims,
Yes.
Councilman Harper,
Yes.
President Logan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hayes,
yes,
Councilman Sullivan.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. President.
Thank you. Item 2 is a resolution adopting the ADA transition plan. Mr. Webb.
Yes, Council President Logan, Mayor. As you're aware, the Federal Highway Administration is working through ALDOT to ensure that cities have a transition plan for the American Disabilities Act. We've got a consultant we're working with on this. They've met with city staff. We've done the self-evaluation. And before you tonight, we have the plan for y'all to adopt.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. I'll make a motion to approve that resolution adopting the ADA self-evaluation transition plan. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Sims. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Swan.
President Logan,
Yes.
Councilman Sims.
Yes.
Councilman Harper,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hayes,
yes,
Councilman Sullivan.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. President.
Thank you. Item C is a consent agenda. We have 5 items. 1 has been deleted, of course. Item 2 is the bill listing. Item 3 through 5 are PO requisitions. Of course, 1, more specifically, the general rental for Thompson Tractor for $8,181.00 out of our utilities. So again, I'll make a motion to approve that consent agenda as printed. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Sims. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Swan.
President Logan,
Yes.
Councilman Sims.
Yes.
Councilman Harper,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hayes,
yes,
Councilman Sullivan.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. President.
Item 9 is reports of special committees to council. We have none to report. Item 10, public hearings. We have none on the agenda tonight. Item 11, city administrator's business. Mr. Swan.
No, sir, no business tonight.
Thank you. Item 12A1 is a departmental business for Chief Burton out of our police department. This is a ABC license request. BW Foods Incorporated, doing business as Piggly Wiggly. You all know it. Off of Lurleen Wallace at 252 at 2001 Lurleen Wallace Boulevard, Suite 2, adding wine to their off-premise alcohol license. Again, Chief, do we have any concerns regarding the background checks and things of that nature regarding the alcohol request?
None at all.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the wine off-premise license for BW Foods, Inc., doing business as Piggly Wiggly, 252 at 2001 Lurleen Wallace Boulevard, Suite 2. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Harper. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Swan.
President Logan,
Yes.
Councilman Harper,
Yes.
Councilman Sims.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hayes,
Yes.
Councilman Sullivan.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Mr. President, let me remind everyone, tomorrow's the last day to qualify from 8 to 5. At 5 o'clock, if you're in the building, we'll lock the doors and we'll qualify you, but you need to be in the building by 5.
Thank you. Item 13 is public comment. We have 2 citizens signed to speak. First one is Jody Jobson. Thank you, Jody. Please state your name and address for the record.
I am Jody Jobson. I live at 1534 Bellwood Lane, and I'm here to find out some information. It's very disturbing what's been going on in Northport. As each and every one of the citizens know, there's been turmoil, there's been controversy. I just hope everybody can get along and let's build Northport, because we're not used to seeing all the yan from the people that used to be up there. But Mayor Herndon, have you ever been informed of a Department of Justice case against the city of Northport? Pertaining to illegal firing or discrimination?
I don't recollect one.
You don't recollect, okay. Do any of the council know that City of Northport got a right to sue to a man from the Justice Department because of illegal firing, and that his civil rights had been violated? And has anyone ever told y'all about it?
When did that happen, Jody?
In May, I think. That's when the court case was, in May. It was in Birmingham, Alabama. But I have the letter here. It says you were sent a carbon copy, Mayor, and since the council's not been notified of it, I don't know if anybody notified you of it. But I just wondered why, if you got it, you couldn't share it with the council since they're the responsible party.
If I gotten one, I would have. I don't recollect getting one, Jody.
Okay.
Mr. Jobson, I could probably shed a little light on that. If someone files a complaint with the EEOC and the EEOC investigates that and they find no merit to the claim, then by law they have to issue a right to sue letter, which is what that is, and the person that gets it indicates that the EEOC did not find any merit to it, and they have a right to sue, but they have to do so within, I believe it's 180 days. That's just a form letter they send out when they don't find any merit to the claims. If the EEOC were to have found merit to the claims, then they would have brought suit themselves.
Okay. Well, I just know the Justice Department sent it to the Attorney General's office and to the, it says carbon copy. I mean, you were there. You know about it. You were there. You and Bruce Henderson and Scott were sitting right there at the trial. I mean, at the case when it was heard.
It's not unusual for the city, for any municipality to be sued.
All right. I'll move on to the next one, since that one is wrong. Bobby, have you, since the filings have been done, have you ever, on your filing for this year in June, it shows here on the Tuscaloosa PAC contributing on June the 2nd, they gave you $1,500. On June the 6th, they gave you $1,500, and on June the 23rd, they gave you $5,000. Is that right?
I think that's right.
Well, on your filing, you filed it with the state or with the county or whoever you're supposed to. You filed it that they only gave you $6,500. It's $1,500 short somewhere. You didn't show them giving you a check or cash for on 6/3 You show it as 6/6 and 6/23 for a total of $6,500.
Was there one in May?
No, there was one in June the 2nd.
Okay, well, I'll check that at the office. I'll be happy to.
Well, the last thing is, I don't understand how you, and you love Northport so much, can talk to somebody like this, the Alabama political reporter, and go in there and distort you and everything that goes on up here, because, I mean, this is a bunch of bull. They didn't call anybody up here. They didn't give a chance for a second side. They took your side and Scott's, period.
They called me, I answered the questions.
Well, you answered the question right here that you didn't know anything about the resignation, and you did. And you said you backed
after
them
the fact.
100%.
After the fact.
After what fact?
After the fact he resigned, I found out about it.
Okay, but did you not tell the councilman that talked to you that you backed their decision 100%?
No, sir. No, at no point did I ever say that, because it was
All right.
wrong.
Well, my last question for you is, at any time, have you ever taken a campaign contribution in cash and not reported it on your filing? And before you answer, I know the answer to this question.
There's been donations less than $100 that I didn't report, yes, sir.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I know, and you know what the rules are. I just want to know if you've ever taken a campaign contribution that was supposed to be reported and have not reported it.
As far as I know, I've reported everything, Jody.
All right, that answers all my questions.
Thank
you, sir. Thank you, council.
Thank you, Jody. Second citizen signed up to speak, Mr. Terry Ware. Ms. Terry, good to see you again. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. I'm Terry Ware at 911 10th Street, Northport. I'd just like to say thank you for inviting me, Councilor Logans and Brother Scott over there.
Thank you. That's it? That's it? All right. Appreciate you. Okay.
Being here.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you for coming. Item 14, ladies and gentlemen, is mayor and council members' business. We'll start with District 1, Councilwoman Judy Hayes.
I have no business tonight, thank you.
Thank you. District 2, under my business, I forgot to mention this last council meeting. I wanted to actually thank our men and women of the armed forces. If you served in the armed forces, please raise your hand. I want to thank y'all. One to begin with, I got the opportunity to take advantage of a boss lift program where, you know, the National Guard and Army actually sends you to Fort Benning, Georgia. I really enjoyed it. I saw some good recruits and saw military life for about 2 or 3 days, and I have a newfound respect for everybody putting a uniform on. But our National Guard and Army recruits, they were very well trained, and actually got to witness a dedication ceremony for our Rangers. So again, I'm so thankful to be a part of that. And it actually, I've got a newfound respect for our men and women in uniform. So again, that was a big treat a few weeks back. Also too, this was handed to me earlier this afternoon. Headliners Barbershop, they're a local Northport business. They're preparing for their 4th annual Back to School Bash. Again, this event is sponsored by Headliners, and various other businesses will feature games and food for students. Details of the event are Sunday, August the 7th, from 4 to 8 p.m. at Civitan Park. That's right on Main Avenue. Again, Headliners Barbershop, they're a Northport business. The purpose is to assist the children of the community with some needed school supplies for the school year and show children that Headliners Barbershop appreciates their support of them and their families and would like to give a small token for the upcoming school year. Again, they're expecting about 250 students in the Northport and Tuscaloosa school system. They're requesting any kind of donations, but they will have various school supplies such as paper, notebooks, pencils, pens, crayons, tissues, hand sanitizer, and all the normal supplies that you would see this time of the year. So support is greatly appreciated. Again, this is Headliners Barbershop, Sunday, August the 7th, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., Civitan Park, Main Avenue. And that's all the business I have. District 3, Councilman Sullivan.
Thank you. Just want to mention a special guest I have with me tonight. My son Parker is quite occupied at the moment. He had a birthday yesterday. He turned 4, so I just want to wish him a happy birthday. He hasn't looked up. Parker. Well occupied. That's all I have.
District 4, Councilman Sims.
I have none. I can't top that.
District 5, Councilman Harper.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I have a statement that I'd like to read, and I know I've been taking a lot of bashing lately. My brother has, and other council members have, and you know, at some point in time, you got to stand up. And I'm gonna stand up tonight and go play by play exactly what went on in a shortened version. But that way, everybody will know. I have it recorded. I have phone records. I have whatever you want to prove when I'm in my statement. I just didn't want to miss anything, and I wanted to make sure I had everything here. I'm tired of reading and hearing lies about myself, my brother, and other council members. Monday, April 11th, Bobby Herndon was contacted by phone by me on April 11th at about 10:30 a.m. He was told what had taken place. He said he would have to resign if our city administrator resigned, was fired or moved or whatever. I told him the city council would do what we had to do. Our integrity would not be compromised. He said, and I quote, "I understand." I didn't understand what the resignation was about. It just blew me out of my mind. But before I called him, I called Councilman Sullivan and called him second. This was after Mr. Collins, who's in the back of the room, left my barn that morning about 10 o'clock. I went and got on the phone to every council member, including the mayor, second, to let them know what was going on. Tuesday, April 12th, the next day, Bobby called me and wanted to talk. He asked me if he could come by my barn. He did come by and offered me a cigar. I gave him a Diet Coke, and we sat on my front porch at my barn and talked, and all he talked about was new projects coming, nothing else. But he never mentioned city administrator issues again. And this was pretty big. You know, I mean, it was a lot going on with our city at this time. I thought he was coming by to talk about that. He didn't want to be involved, so we didn't bring it up. That was the next day after I called him and said, "Hey, all this is going on. We need to, you know," and I called all the other council members. Sit here and tell you. Saturday, April 16th, a few days later, I called Bobby at 4:34 p.m. to try and fill him in. His response on text message to me, "Bart, I see you have tried to call me. It would be better if we didn't talk." End of quote. There's 3 times I reached out to try to get everybody on the same page and try to get everybody headed in a direction. All council members knew. Lies have also been told about Mr. Collins' resignation. I never met with Jay Logan, Rodney Sullivan in a backroom deal, which has been in the Tuscaloosa News. It's been in this reporter. We never met and discussed any resignation of Mr. Collins. President Logan and myself met with city lawyer Ron Davis and an outside lawyer, Don Turner. We hired him because I just wasn't comfortable with everything going on. I thought we needed outside help, just like we hire other engineers and people to do work. I thought we needed somebody else on this also. I have not heard or talked to Mr. Collins since council meeting on April 4th, in which we both attended. He's sitting back there. He'll probably, hopefully, tell you that's the truth. I hadn't seen or heard from him. During this whole process, I found out that we could not meet in executive session on personal matters, and that if a person makes over $75,000 a year. So this is some new stuff that come out. I wasn't briefed on any of this new. I'm gonna try to have a council meeting, go in executive session, discuss it, and go with it from there. But as I was informed by our lawyer, we could not meet in executive session, talk about the good name and character of somebody that makes over $75,000 a year. And I'm sure that goes on everywhere, every day, because it's, you know, I didn't know anything about it until that morning. The mayor and all council members were aware and involved in the entire process. I called council members Logan, Sims, Rodney Sullivan during this process. President Logan called Judy Hayes. He was in charge of calling her. I have my reasons, but I just didn't call her. I called these guys, and the president was calling her. Bobby didn't want to be involved. This was a council decision, not a backroom deal. Guys will tell you this went on. Lastly, the city is run by the city council. We have to make the tough decisions, and we made a lot of them in the past. That got lost. Some people got bigger than our city. It's time, and been time, to move on and get better. Drop all this in the city, move forward, and let's go. Let's get a council in here, and let's get people in here. I'm tired of hearing about it. I had 6 months left until I was off this council. Do you think I wanted all this? I wanted to stir up all this mess and get the Harpers in charge of the city of Northport. I'm going off the council. And as soon as I get off, I'm not going to have anything to do with politics anymore. And this is what keeps good people off politics, is this kind of crap right here. Amen. Do you think I wanted all this? Heck no, I didn't, man. I've lost sleep over this. My family suffered for it. My kids had to read this crap on Facebook. They had to tell me stuff about it because I don't do Facebook. And they read this stuff off to me, and I say, I don't worry about it. But it eats at you. You're darn right it does, and I'm sick of it. You have to do what's right, and a lot of times that's hard. Hard decisions are hard. It would have been easy for me to turn a blind eye. I could have just said no. I'm just going to sweep it under the rug. But I'm not made. I'm not that kind of person, and I'm not made that way. If it's a problem, whether it's in my last 2 months or my 6 months or I got 2 days to go, I'm going to attack that problem for the city of Northport. I put my hand on the Bible to uphold all the ordinances of the city of Northport. When I took on this council seat, I'm not going to lie to anybody. I'm not going to cover for anybody. You don't have to if you do the right thing and do what you're supposed to do. It ain't been easy. It's been hard. And I'd like, in closing, just to say what a great city we live in. It's a shame that it has to go through all this. We're in great shape financially. We're going to have to cut some things in the budget, but we're in great shape financially, and we have the best employees anywhere. Thank you to all y'all.
Thank you.
And this is my home, and I found living here, and I'll be able to look anybody in the eye at any time, and I have everything documented in this black book right here. I've been up for nights. My son walked in at 3 o'clock one morning. I'm up writing in this book, and I was, he's wondering what I was doing. I was wondering where he's been at 3 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, I have everything from day one of everything that started on this. Didn't want to be a part of it, but I have everything in this book documented, phone records, anything anybody wants in this book right here of all that went on. And I want to just blow by. Let's move on as a city and get out of all this crap of back and forth. And we did this, and we did a backroom deal and all that. It's time to move on, get the city moving on. I'm not going to be in this council seat. I don't know if Mr. Sims is running or not. But it's going to be a new council person up here for sure, and possibly two if he's not running. So it's time for them to take over, and let's get moving on. I love this city, and these next few months I'm going to do everything I can for it, and I'm not turning a blind eye on anything. I'm going to do what I held my hand up to do for this city and the citizens. That's all I got. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Harper. Mayor Herndon.
Yes, if you will, please remember the blood drive that I announced on April the 19th. Excuse me, get the wrong A. August the 19th. And let's, help our community and help other communities out with that. As always, I appreciate the employees of the great city of Northport for what you do. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 15 is adjournment, but before I adjourn, I'm going to echo exactly what Councilman Harper said. I think everybody up here took an oath before God and everybody else that we're going to do the right thing, and I stand beside my decision and stand beside the actions because they were open and transparent. It's unfortunate that we have to play this kind of game, but I think all the games need to stop. That's in the rearview mirror, and I really appreciate Councilman Harper actually saying that on behalf of myself and my family. So apologies are needed. I'm sure Mayor Herndon will apologize to me and my family for what he's put us through, but we'll leave that at that. Item 15 is adjournment, ladies and gentlemen. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Harper. Any questions or comments? I'm going to adjourn the meeting.